Welcome back, guys. Thank you for checking out my video. Today we're going to be reacting to another one from Critical Drinker. It's going to be his review on the new Fast and Furious movie, Fast X. I love the Critical Drinker. I love his reviews, and he's very good at articulating himself eloquently. So let's get into this. And he's funny. He's funny, man. The Critical Drinker is hilarious. So let's get into this.
You know, life has a funny way of putting things into perspective. The other night I was sitting there in my soiled underwear with my pint of cheap vodka, scrolling through late night TV, when I happened to catch a rerun of the original Fast and the Furious from the distant, half-forgotten year of 2001. A simpler, more innocent time. A time before smartphones and social media. Before everyone was angry at everyone else about everything. Before movies had to be updated for modern audiences. Back then, we never could have imagined that a humble movie about illegal street racing would somehow morph into a grandiose tale of international espionage, death-defying bank heists, clandestine government agencies, deadly terrorist groups, sci-fi doomsday weapons, personal vendettas and rivalries, tear-jerking goodbyes, world domination plots, and cars getting launched into outer space.
It's gone so far.
In short, The Fast and the Furious has been on quite the journey over the past 20 years. Some good, some bad, and some better off forgotten about. But every journey has to come to an end, which brings me along to Fast 10, the supposedly penultimate movie in a franchise that's been going on longer than half of you have been alive. Well, until the studio needs a guaranteed moneymaker, or the actors realise they don't have a whole lot going on without it at least. But can Fast 10 possibly hope to live up to its incredible 20-year legacy? Can it deliver the epic action set pieces and interpersonal dramas we've come to expect from these films and set the stage for the final chapter of the Fast and Furious saga? Or is it a tired old banger running on empty and destined for the scrapyards? The answer is, of course, what does it fucking matter? At this point, the Fast and the Furious movies are basically immune to film criticism. They've ascended to a higher plane of existence, far removed from such petty mortal concerns. They know exactly what they are and what their audience wants from them, and they're happy to give it to them by the truckloads. Fast cars, hot women, exotic locations, huge ensemble casts, ridiculous action sequences that laugh in the face of physics, gravity, and common sense. Plots that don't make a lick of sense and absolutely don't care about it. Big bald guys growling lines in something that could vaguely be described as English. And of course...
Family.
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 Family. Family.
And you know what? I fucking love it. Like a prisoner that slowly comes to accept and even depend on their own confinement, I've finally embraced the Fast and the Furious movies for what they are. The ultimate switch your brain off and enjoy cinema experience. They're dumb as fuck, borderline incoherent, melodramatic, over-the-top nonsense, and they absolutely do not care. And they cordially invite you not to care either. So what the fuck, let's talk about it, shall we? So Fast 10 opens up with an extended flashback to the events of Fast 5, where Dom and the gang steal hundreds of millions of dollars from Brazilian drug lord Hernan Reyes, killing him in the process. All well and good, you might think, until the movie reveals his previously unknown son Dante who survived the confrontation. Because of course he did, because there's always a long lost son, or a brother, or a daughter, or a fucking pet alligator ready to replace the previous bad guy. Anyway, flash forward 10 years and Dante's back for a spot of revenge. What exactly has he been doing for the past 10 years, and why have we never heard of him before now? Don't care. The point is that Dante takes over Cypher's organization and uses it to lure the team into a fake mission to steal a computer chip in Rome, but naturally Cypher escapes his ambush and shows up at Dom's front door to warn him that the whole mission is a trap. Why exactly is she now considered a good guy when she literally murdered the mother of Dom's child in front of his eyes? Don't care. Fuck it, she's probably gonna show up alive in the next film anyway. Everyone eventually does, because no one's truly gone in The Fast and the Furious. So Dom rushes to Rome to warn his friends, but it all goes a bit
Nobody
wrong and a
dies.
massive bomb gets detonated in the middle of the city. And the CIA for some reason believes that Dom and his team are responsible, despite the fact that they've risked their lives for them on countless occasions, and they launch an international manhunt to apprehend them all. But one member of the agency doesn't quite believe it, and covertly helps Dom and the others to escape and hunt down Dante so they can bring him to justice. So basically the movie splits the main characters into several smaller factions, each pursuing different objectives in different ways, with the narrative jumping between each one of them as the story progresses. Something they probably had to do because I'm fairly convinced there's more people in Dom's team than the entire MCU at this point. This is what happens when you don't actually kill previous antagonists, but just kind of absorb them into your family like some cinematic Katamari. Eventually you're going to end up with more characters than you know what to do with. Speaking of characters, there's not a huge amount I can say about the
Way
regular
too many
players at this
characters.
point. Everyone's been doing this shit for so long that they know exactly what's expected of them and slip into their old roles like putting on a comfortable pair of boots. Roman is still the butt of every single joke. Han's in the movie because Justin Lin really likes the actor for some reason. Ramsey's still trying to justify what the point of her character is. And Dom still growls his way through every line of dialogue like he wants to personally eat every human in the room. That being said, the cast all seem to be having a good time and actually look like they want to be there. Unlike the previous film, where it was pretty obvious there'd been falling outs behind the scenes and everyone looked kind of bored and tired and pissed off with each other. The newbies, on the other hand, are a bit more interesting. Jason Momoa is definitely having a ball with this one, chewing up the scenery like it's going out of fashion and flouncing around like some weird love child of Jack Sparrow and the Joker. Taking revenge for the death of your father isn't exactly a complex motivation, but what the fuck? It's not like we're talking Shakespeare here. These movies are basically a cheesy Spanish soap opera done on a $200 million budget. Alan Richardson is big and intimidating and ruthlessly efficient as the new CIA leader, and holy shit, after crushing it in Reacher and now this, the guy looks like a solid contender for the next big action star. Brie Larson even turns in a decent performance as a rogue agency operative who risks her career to help the team. The script doesn't give her a huge amount to work with, and she looks about as comfortable with a gun as a male feminist in a strip club, but overall I think she does a pretty good job with the role. Aside from all that, there's the usual elements you'd expect from every Fast and the Furious movie. Lots of awesome looking cars, gun and technology porn, big burly guys and gorgeous women hanging out in beautiful places. The action jumps from exotic location to exotic location with no real attempt to justify any of it. They just felt like going there, I guess. And who the fuck am I to argue? If I had a couple of $100 million to play with, you can bet I wouldn't set my movie in fucking Pittsburgh. The set pieces are exactly the kind of over-the-top, gravity-defying stupidity that characterizes these films, and if you haven't accepted that that's just how these movies are at this point, then you're probably not going to get won over by these. I mean, when the safe hijacking scene from Fast 5 turns out to be the most grounded and believable sequence in your movie, I don't even know what to say to you. The thing is, the film doesn't care in the slightest. It knows how ridiculous and melodramatic and over-the-top it all is, and it's not going to apologise for any of it. And you know what? There's something kind of awesome about that. Fast 10 is a throwback to a very different time in Hollywood. A far better time when all they really cared about was making entertaining products for people. A time long before the whole industry disappeared up its self-important arse. Before activist writers tried to infuse every movie with whatever divisive and mean-spirited political cause happened to be flavour of the month. A time when big, tough-talking, larger-than-life heroes didn't have to be shrunk down and belittled just to elevate their co-stars. A time when epic, emotional moments didn't have to be undercut with ironic, self-deprecating humour at every turn. A time when we actually looked forward to new releases instead of quietly dreading them and wondering how much damage they were going to do to our favourite characters. A time when movies were allowed to just be fun. Maybe I'm getting a bit more nostalgic for stuff like this as I get older and the movie landscape changes, or maybe it's because the end of this franchise is looming on the horizon, but whatever the reason, I find myself with this weird sense of goodwill and warmth towards these movies. It's like revisiting your favourite childhood restaurant as an adult and finding that it's still a thriving business, and although the food might not exactly be gourmet cuisine, it's still decent enough to leave you satisfied by the ends. And I guess the end is something that's kind of on my mind with this film. For all its ups and downs and silly moments over the years, I think when the Fast and the Furious series is finally done, the world of cinema is going to be a bit less fun without it. And maybe once in a while, it really is okay to just switch your brains off and enjoy it while it lasts. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Okay, guys, so that was the Critical Drinkers review of Fast and Furious X. So, in my opinion, like, I disagree with him on a lot of things. Um, I honestly, I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying totally, and I like most of the Fast and Furious movies, but like this movie was just um nonsense. There's a difference to me between stupid fun and just nonsense, right? Like I just didn't care. It wasn't there was a balance and there was like a method to the madness. You know, if you look at Fast 8, compare Fast 8 to Fast 9 and then compare Fast 9 to Fast 10, it's three different directors and only one of those directors understood the Fast and Furious franchise, in my opinion, um, because the director of this movie just thinks that you're just supposed to be just completely brain dead all of the time. Like, no, it. I didn't like it at all. Um, I watched Angry Joe's review of Fast and Furious X, and he said like almost every problem that I had with it, he had the same problem with it. That reaction's here on my channel too. If you want to check it out, I did a reaction to that, and yeah, I agree with him a lot more. You know, it's great to have a movie that's not woke, doesn't seem like it is, but it's like it's just it's just very bad in my opinion. Jason Momoa, he was just too much. I didn't know what his character was trying to be. The movie was too disjointed. They were trying to do like their own little Infinity War type situation, but just 100 times worse in every way. I didn't like it at all. Like this is my least favorite Fast and Furious movie by far. I didn't like 9, but I like 9 more than this. I could at least appreciate some of the stupidity in 9 cuz it was cooler looking. Like some of the sequences were like cooler to me than what we get in this movie. So at least I can watch it for that. And then before 9, I was on board with the series. Like I was on board all the way up to through 8, and then Hobbs and Shaw was that's kind of a spin-off, but yeah, that was whack to me. Then 9 came out and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is trash." Like cuz the guy who directed 9, or writer, I don't remember, but they're different than the person who's been directing 5 through 8. So all the movies, once they started getting really crazy, it was one director doing all that stuff. And I think he understood it. And then this old director from the older movies comes back and tries to replicate that in 9. What's his name? Justin Lin or something. He comes back for Fast and Furious 9 and tries to replicate all the stuff that other director was doing from 5 through 8, and he doesn't get it at all, and he's just trying to replicate it, and you just end up making a parody. That's all you have is a parody, and Fast 9 and Fast 10 is once again a different director, and he's even worse. Like, this I can't. I think it's awful. I completely disagree with the drinker. It's I Stupid fun is great, but nonsense is not. This movie was nonsense to me. Just so much nonsense. So much just it was a parody. These movies were never parodies. They were just over the top action, like the drinker was saying. They were over the top craziness, a little too much at certain times, but then they would pull it back to reality a little bit. Like there was it was like, yeah, it was stupid fun, but it wasn't nonsense. And it was not a parody, but now it is. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your opinion in the comments below. Like, I don't mind if you feel differently about it. Tell me how you feel about Fast X and also the Fast and Furious franchise as a whole. How do you feel about it? Like when did you fall off? What brought you back if you did fall off of the series? Have you loved all of them? Like tell me what's up. And I don't mind having discussions, man. I read all of my comments as always, so your voice will be heard. Other than that, that's it for this video. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos, guys. Thank you. Peace.